Why This Movie, a podcast about our favorite movies and why we love them so much. My name is Christopher Allen Maloney. So we've had a crop of a bunch of new listeners, especially in New England, which is nice, since that's where I live. And a new review also, which does help a small podcast like this one get out in front of more people, so I really appreciate it. This one is from Cartoon Watcher 7, and the review is a little too complimentary to me for me to feel comfortable reading it. However, I do appreciate it, Cartoon Watcher 7, and thank you for listening. Today's guest is somebody I've known for quite some time. She's a comic and actor and television host. Her name is Abbi Crutchfield. And the cool thing is that when I knew her, this was back when I lived in New York, nobody really knew who she was yet, which is the only reason why I could get her to do this show now, probably, because I knew her like before she kind of exploded career-wise. But yeah, very gifted comedian. You've seen her on Hulu, Comedy Central. She's been on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. She hosted a show called Up Early Tonight and another thing on True TV called You Can Do Better. But she's here to talk about her favorite funny movie today, Abbi Crutchfield. Do you realize we've known each other for almost 20 years?
Oh my goodness. I guess I shouldn't be surprised by that number anymore. Because
No,
I've
I'm
been
not.
in New York a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's an even bigger surprise is after 20 years, you didn't know my favorite film. So now I get to talk about it and let you know.
No, I did not know it. So why don't you go ahead and say what movie we're talking about today?
The movie I love to bring up as one of my favorites is So I Married an Axe Murderer with Mike Myers. And, oh darn, I forgot to look up the rest of the cast. There are some fun cameos too.
There are.
Mike Myers and Nancy someone?
Nancy Travis, yep. In 1993, fresh off the success of Wayne's World and a few seasons into his tenure of Saturday Night Live, Mike Myers starred in So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Hi, my name is Mike Myers. Perhaps you recognize me from my recent motion picture, Wayne's World. Thanks. As you can see, I'm on the set of my new film in which I play a young fellow named Charlie, who gets a little more than he bargained for. For example, there's suspense.
Have you heard of this case? Mrs. X. She murders her husband on her honeymoon, then she changes her identity and marries again.
I never heard of it, so what?
I think I'm dating Mrs. X.
The Justice Department reports an alarming rise in the number of poisoning murders across the United States.
It's a smart drink to improve your brain power. You like it, Charlie?
Thank you, no. There's action.
Charlie, there's something I've been meaning to tell you.
She's a killer. Charlie, she is not a killer.
And of course, there's plenty of romance.
What do you look for in a girl you date?
I know everyone always says sense of humor, but I'd really have to go with breast size.
You're lying on your side, totally asleep. You could just stick a needle in.
So, as you can see, it has all the elements of a truly great motion picture. Oh, did I mention the axe murderer?
Hello, sweetheart.
Missed me, darling?
Mike Myers plays Charlie, a commitment-averse beat poet living in the San Francisco area who makes his relationship problems the subject of his poetry.
Woman! Whoa, man! Whoa, man! She was a thief, you gotta believe. She stole my heart and my cat. Betty, Judy, make me horny. Saturday morning, girls of cartoons won't leave me in ruins. I want to be Betty's Barney. Hey, Jane, get me off this crazy thing called love.
When Charlie meets Harriet, played by Nancy Travis, at a local butcher shop, he is smitten, despite the fact that she's surrounded by meat cleavers and wearing an apron covered in blood. He returns to the shop shortly after, just for the chance to talk to her again.
It's busy, eh?
It's insane today.
Yeah. Hey, you know, my dad's a butcher, and I used to work at a shop. I can help you.
I'd love some help. Great. What's your name?
Oh, my name's Charlie.
Hi, Harriet.
Hi, Harriet.
Could you get me 4 porterhouses in the fridge?
Okay.
Here we get a somewhat gruesome montage of the two of them hacking into carcasses and sharing flirtatious smiles. By the end, they sort of look like a couple. After dating for a little while, Charlie begins to suspect that Harriet may be too good to be true. When he comes across a story in a tabloid about a woman who kills her husbands with an axe, and after meeting Harriet's odd sister, who cryptically warns him to be careful, he allows himself to believe that Harriet might be the axe murderer, and that he is her next victim.
Have you heard of this? Mrs. X. She murders her husbands on their honeymoons, then changes her identity and marries again.
No, I never heard of it. So what?
I think I'm dating Mrs. X.
Charlie. 2 words. Therapy.
She once told me that she dated a martial arts expert, all right? Now, it says right here that one of the victims was a martial arts expert, okay? And last night at dinner, she put a kung fu move on my dad and tried to break his neck.
Charlie, about 1,000 people have tried to break your father's neck. I mean, should I arrest them too?
A lot of the movie plays with the is she or isn't she the axe murderer question, while allowing Mike Myers to play the straight man in over his head. So I Married an Axe Murderer was not a critical or commercial success when it came out, though its title made it very difficult to ignore. In the years since its release, the scenes starring Mike Myers as Charlie's father have become largely what people seem to remember.
Well, it's a well-known fact, Sonny Jim, that there's a secret society of the 5 wealthiest people in the world, known as the Pentaverate, who run everything in the world, including the newspapers, and meet tri-annually at a secret country mansion in Colorado known as the Meadows.
So who's in this Pentaverate?
The Queen, the Vatican, the Gettys, the Rothschilds, and Colonel Sanders before he went tits up. Oh, I hated the Colonel with his wee beady eyes and that smug look on his face. Oh, you're gonna buy my chicken. Oh.
Dad, how can you hate the Colonel?
Because he puts an addictive chemical in his chicken that makes you crave it fortnightly, smart arse.
With the thick Scottish accent, you can sort of see the makings here of Myers' later characterizations of Shrek and then Fat Bastard from the Austin Powers movies. All right, so I saw this movie, I think, because we had HBO and Showtime when I was a kid. So I think I probably saw it shortly after it came out, so maybe when I was 9 or 10. So I have not seen it since then. I know that it has, I think you could call it a cult following, right?
I hope so. Yeah, I feel like if I like it, then it might be a cult following, because I don't hear people list it in the top whatever, like it's never listed in movie rankings, but
right. No, it wasn't received well critically, and it did not make a lot of money either when it came out.
I can't believe that. For as funny as it is, I don't know what it is about when shows get replayed later to a different generation, why that generation clings to it, but that's what it is for me.
Yeah, I think this movie, and I would put it in the same category as Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
Which I also love, yeah.
I do love that movie. Even if you haven't seen it, you know what it is because the title is impossible to ignore.
You're exactly.
So, all right. So how did you first come across it?
I must have seen it on, I'm guessing Comedy Central. I really feel like I just watched it at home over and over. I don't think I ever saw it in a theater. I wouldn't be old enough to see it, I don't think. Yeah. So it was 1990, 1991.
93.
Oh, it's 93. Okay. Nope. I still wouldn't have. It's if it was PG-13, I wouldn't have been old enough. So, and I always picture like There She Goes by the Laws playing because that was, I think that montage where he meets Harriet and she works in a butcher shop and he offers to help is like my favorite part of the film, or at least it was when I was young. So whenever I think of that movie, I think about how happy that made me and then how surprised I was and intrigued that it was a murder mystery, even though the title kind of suggests that. I didn't understand in the quirky title's name like what it was about. I didn't even get the format. Like, so I married an axe murderer. Like it's the beginning of a joke. I didn't know that as a kid either. So I just thought it was like that must be some grown-up colloquialism that I don't understand.
When you saw it, were you already thinking about performing or doing comedy?
I must have because I know that when I was watching Comedy Central in those days, they would air a lot of they call them they're clip shows now, but at the time they would be snippets of specials. So Comedy Central Presents or Premium Blend. These are like showcases for comedians to like make their television debut, and then they would cut down into like two of their jokes, and then they would play them in a clip format where you would see the name of the comedian and what show it came from in the lower left of the screen, like it's a music video or something. So already they sucked me in with like the MTV style music video of it all and how it was just going to be like, here comes another one, here comes another one. So I learned all these names of comedians, and then I would mimic them, like play a game of like standing on a bed and talking into a microphone pretending I was a comedian. So I already liked creative writing. I wasn't in any plays yet, but I liked play acting with friends and giving voices to my dolls. So like the theatrical side of me was already out and about. And comedy as a job was really cool to me. Like, some people see race car drivers and they're like, ooh, I want to do that. When I saw people talking into a microphone with a whole room laughing at them, even in a little clip show, I was like, ooh, that sounds like the job to have. So by the time, yeah, I wasn't into sketch comedy as much as I was into stand up, the concept of it. But by the time I saw Mike Myers in a film, I had already seen Steve Martin in a film and Whoopi Goldberg in a film, and they to me were like the comedians that are funny on stage but also get to play in movies. So that was also a goal. I still haven't been in a film yet, but that's still a goal, is to be a funny actor and in a funny film.
So did you already know who Mike Myers was when you saw this?
I knew it from SNL, yeah,
Okay.
because with the cast, they always say the cast member's name up ahead of time. And then if you learn their signature characters, you start to hear adults joke about it and say, oh, that Mike Myers, he does Wayne's World. So I knew him from that.
What was it about the movie that kind of hooked you and made it what is now your favorite?
I think I was drawn to the use of like I don't know, is it organ music? Like anytime there's a mystery, like da-da, and lightning crashing behind people, or the mood changing in a film to like make the lead character dubious of the, person that he's suspecting. So that would just draw me in. It would feel like even before that, it would be Scooby-Doo mysteries. Like I like the scariness of Scooby-Doo. I think everybody else likes the comedy, the giant sandwiches, but I liked anytime it would rain and, they would be the monster handprint. I was like, oh yeah, this is getting good now. And then the fact that it always ends well at the end was soothing for me as a child.
That is nice. You know what I love about this movie? The 90s aesthetic, like the coffee
That's
house.
a big part of it.
Yeah, the coffee house culture, like happening around the same time as Frasier and Friends.
That's right. Yeah. There's coffee house culture. There was that performance art aspect where they're doing beat poetry and people are snapping and it's just this accepted thing. And how his parents are kind of out of touch about it. Just, yeah, it felt very cool and hip and now. And like I was looking up to these young adults. I guess they were in their 20s and like late 20s, early 30s at the time. So for me, it was like, this is what it means to be a grown up.
Yeah.
I hadn't even tasted coffee yet.
Yeah, no, I hadn't either. From what I understand, this script had kind of been floating around for a while, and different comics had expressed interest in playing the lead. Mike Myers did a lot of the writing, but he's not credited.
Oh wow. I'm
So
surprised. Yeah, I don't ever knew who wrote this. Who else wrote it? Margaret Smigel? I don't know who else is writing it.
no. So no, we can give a shout out to Robert Smigel in general. No,
he's great.
He is. Yeah, Mike Myers did like a lot of rewriting, and it's obviously kind of like shaped into a vehicle for him.
Right.
I find myself getting annoyed by vehicles in general because I don't know. It seems like it's sort of using a movie as a showcase instead of like serving the story sometimes.
Oh sure, yeah.
I mean,
especially if they're just dropping their catchphrases that you've seen elsewhere. I can
yeah,
see that.
yeah. I mean, I think that sometimes it works really well, like Robin Williams with Mrs. Doubtfire, or like Eddie Murphy with Nutty Professor. But what do you think about that? About like, especially when a funny person reshapes a whole movie to kind of fit their particular talents?
Right. I think of that being typical to SNL breakout stars like Will Ferrell. It's kind of like they're the draw, so that's what you want to see from them. You want to see him get upset and shout, or you want to see him be childlike and be a big kid. With Mike Myers, you want to see him be irreverent or sarcastic, but also like broad. You want to see him be really silly. So it was nice that he could play his own dad. I looked up, by the way.
That was Mike Myers?
Fox.
No.
Yeah, he plays his own dad.
Yeah, I know.
Stop.
I'm kidding.
You sounded genuinely surprised. So for me, a vehicle is expected as an audience member. Like I look forward to it. Like, oh, I hope he says his catchphrase. Like if Bronson Pinchot was going to be in a film, I would definitely want to see him do some version of Balky or the character he did in the Eddie Murphy film.
Yeah, Beverly Hills Cop.
Thank you, Beverly Hills Cop. But if he also had a dour side, or if he was a villain, I would be open to that too. I'd be like, oh, let's see how he does a villain. And that's the thing, for Mike Myers to play a villain in Austin Powers, or even the titular character Austin Powers, is so out of the range of characters he would usually perform. Like it had some elements of stuff you had seen on SNL, but it was generally a brand new thing. I'm trying to think of a vehicle I wouldn't like, because I loved Whoopi Goldberg vehicles. I can't, but you're right in that it does. Like if Martin Short had done So I Married an Axe Murderer, he would not have done the same jokes Mike Myers did, because those weren't his catchphrases. He would have done his little dance. He would have done some kind of Edward Grimley thing like that he's done in all of his films. But you just start to enjoy it, I think, for them, what they bring to it.
I watched one of the original trailers for this movie, and it's Mike Myers as himself talking to camera about the movie.
Oh, okay.
And then at the end, he does what we would recognize now as like the Dr. Evil laugh. like he does it, and
like
then
a very
and it keeps going and going and going.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny, and also when he's playing Stuart, the Scottish dad,
right?
It's like I think this movie was sort of a place for him to work out some stuff that like would become Dr. Evil, or it would become like Fat Bastard.
Oh, okay.
Because it's the same like really thick Scottish accent.
Yeah, the accents are the same for sure. I think for me though, these characters are different. He has a bag of tricks like every comedian. We have our bag of tricks that we know gets laughs spontaneously from the person who's never seen it before, or gets a laugh of familiarity from someone who has seen it before. But it's not, I think with Fat Bastard, he reminds me nothing of the dad, besides that they're both Scottish. Like they seem to be like in different worlds, because one had a family and Fat Bastard didn't at all. He's like a lonely, sad guy. The dad's totally confident, and Fat Bastard's just mean and weird. So to me, just because they share, the same Scottish accent, it's a different development of character. And so that's why I think comedians a pass on their vehicles, because even if they trot out the exact same things that you expect from them, the context is different. So it kind of makes the laugh fresh.
Would you love to see Mike Myers play a very serious, dry, subdued role?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because he reminds me, he has like in interviews, he has a demeanor similar to yours. It's reserved, it's thoughtful, and it's like, it's peaceful and calming. But it's in such contrast to the broad characters he plays on screen that when he does panel on late night, it can tend to fall flat. At least I'm just watching it as a comedian, not as like an audience member. I'm
A
like,
lot of
oh,
what I
man.
say falls flat too. To be fair.
No, the similarities end there. You don't, you're not on a late night show.
Yeah.
But so he's just, that's his speaking pattern. And then I've seen him play a serious role, but I can't remember the name of the film. Was it Studio 54?
It's a new world out there. Old labels and prejudices don't apply anymore.
Right.
Right. You do a special job for us. Important. Before you, I only let bartenders deal with Anthony, but Viv trusts you.
It's a good job. I take it seriously.
Yeah. She also says that you're married to Anita.
Yeah.
And that you never go with the other boys.
Yeah. I mean, no, I don't, I'm not gay.
Oh, labels.
I'm sorry, I forgot, Mr. Rubel.
Mister. Oh, I'm Mister. Mister. Oh, that's good. Well, you know what? I'm not gay either.
I liked seeing that side of him. I actually like seeing Adam Sandler be serious. I like seeing Jim Carrey do Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. So yeah, I like when people can show range. It makes me think of, well, Robin Williams was the master at it. I think Robin Williams was revealing or tapping into an actual side. Whereas if Adam Sandler is actually depressed, I would be really surprised to hear it, because everybody off camera says he's just like warm and congenial and family man, and so it'd be hard to believe that he was really struggling.
So Mike Myers on this movie and on Wayne's World also, he had a reputation for being very difficult, requiring a lot of rewrites for this one especially, and also doing a lot of what was seen as ego-driven behavior, being like very demanding.
Okay.
Have you ever seen that yourself on, I know you said you haven't been in a film, but like on any kind of set or any kind of performance setting?
There's one story that comes to mind, but honestly, I will tell you this before I share the story. And the person who I will definitely name, just because it's
Awesome.
No fun if you don't get to hear the name.
Yeah.
Also, my IMDb list is small enough that you could pinpoint it with a few details. So it's I might as well say. I was on set for a show called Mysteries of Laura. Deborah Messing was the star. And it was off of Will and Grace. I don't know how many years removed from her success at Will and Grace, but it was like a cool opportunity for her to have a show where she could lead. And I had an under 5 role. So I think I said 2 things to her, but it was great because I got to interact with her character, like a lead character, as just a funny little lady who's shopping. And on set, there was a lot of stopping down. And I noticed she would whisper to the person that was with her, and then he would make a statement on his own behalf. So she would go, pss, pss, and he'd go, "Guys, I'm so hot. Is anybody else hot in here? Can we get the AC up?" And I didn't. And I thought, if I'm noticing this, everybody's noticing this. So why bother? We all respect you. You're the reason we're here. You have total freedom to go I'm hot. Can we get the AC on? But I think it was in an attempt to, I have no idea why. What was that choice about? Was it about not wanting to seem like a diva, or was it about not wishing to be told no? And so I'd rather hear it from my bestie than from anybody else. But she got everything that he requested, people accommodated because they understood who it was coming from. And I think that could be twisted into oh, you're too good to talk to us. But when someone says difficult on set, I recently saw the Pee Wee Herman documentary, which I think is really special. If you haven't seen that, you should.
No, yeah, I loved it.
I liked it a lot. Yeah. They said that about him too. And I think that's the trouble it goes. And anytime someone said someone was difficult, it's because they didn't gush and weren't warm and effusive. And anytime somebody was remotely friendly and made eye contact and asked you about your kids, that producer or writer or host would be "Oh, they're the best person ever. They're just my favorite." And I just thought, it's too much hyperbole, and it's too much too vilifying for someone who didn't really slight you. They just kind of didn't meet your expectations, like unless you have a case of like being verbally assaulted or, like I've definitely witnessed, uncomfortable environments and people like acting a fool. But if you're just having a bad day, I think people should understand that. Now, also, last thing I'll say, I know I talk too much. In this industry, when I shot a TV show where I was one of two co-hosts who was like on camera 90% of the show. So we were like in every little setup. So from like 6 a.m. call time to, I forget when we would wrap, 8 p.m., sometimes 10 p.m. Then I could see this is a team effort. So you can't be late and you can't be like forgetting your lines and you can't be short with people because you're the one that gets the most perks if you're the star of the show, and everybody else has to put in the same hours as you, but not get, the special sandwich or the special trailer or whatever. So that's another reason why people are like, you have a very privileged position. You have no room to be having a bad day. Like have your bad days when you're not on set. So it's hard. I think in entertainment, there's a lot expected of people, talent, on camera. So if I hear someone was difficult, I'll believe it from their peer who like had nothing to lose by being honest with them.
Yeah. I think I also read that Mike Myers struggled a lot at that time with pretty debilitating insecurity and didn't know why other people found him funny, even though he wanted to do the work. So I think sometimes, maybe most of the time, if something seems ego-driven or demanding, it's mostly very much related to how insecure someone is or how worried they are that they're not going to get it right.
Absolutely. That's very insightful of you. And and as someone who has struggled with performing, like anxiety with regard to performing, I don't want to call it performance anxiety because I always was able to perform, but it was like building up to it, the negative self-talk, and then during the lack of being present in the moment because my mind is like racing, and then afterwards the come down of just like, was that any good? And then just wanting to cry. Like after a comedy show where you're there to entertain and they're there to have fun, but to make it such a difficult like drama about it's just really, it's painful and it's hard to explain. I agree with you that it has a lot to do with insecurity, and the reverse is true. If you're comfortable with yourself, it puts people at ease so quickly. Like they feel accepted for who they are. Think about every conversation everyone has about Mr. Rogers and how he just tunes into exactly like how you're feeling and accepts you as you are. And everybody's like, that man is an angel. And you're like, yeah, I get it. So
when I first met you, you were with the same guy.
Yeah, I still am. Luke there. He's a comedian.
Exactly. So I don't know exactly when you two like met or got together, but so in this movie, it deals a lot with being single and having a fear of commitment. And there's a question of, does he have like a legitimate reason to think that this woman might be dangerous, or is it just him going through his normal pattern of finding something wrong with her because he's paranoid that he's going to get hurt?
Exactly.
So did you ever get to have that period in your life where you were single and dating and getting to go through relationships, or did you meet the guy early enough that you kind of skipped that? Because I just don't, I don't know that about you.
I never gave myself, that as a young person. I had a high school boyfriend and, and I even had a middle school boyfriend, and I always wanted like a lovey-dovey buddy to be with, and I had my circle of friends that were platonic or, fun, but I always wanted like my secret special person. And so I found one in college. And then if we broke up, I was like, I think that the longest I went without dating anybody was 8 months. And during that time, I didn't know who I was if I didn't have like someone reflecting back to me, telling me everything they liked about me, which explains a lot about entering into a career where you're like, oh, I want external validation. That's how I operate. That's how I know who I am. Mm-hmm. I don't recommend it, kids. So no, I met Luke, but I was dating someone else when I met him. So he could be a platonic friend for a while. But then after the breakup, a few months went by and I was like spending more and more time with Luke. So that was kind of my MO back then, sadly. And maybe that's what makes shows like Seinfeld or this film or Friends more interesting, because I never dated around and met quirky people that didn't suit my personality. If I ever did, it was usually in the context of meeting them at a comedy show. They ask me out. I'm committed in a relationship, so I agree thinking they know that. And then I find out that like I've been on several dates with disappointed guys that are like, what? You have a boyfriend? Why'd you come out with me? And I was like, I don't know, because you invited me and I thought it would be fun. So naive. And so I was like, oh yeah, dating would be hard if you had to face that all the time. Like these conversations that seem so like you're getting to know someone and then they turn. Like because the guys would be like, oh, you're not available. Why am I even talking to you? And then I'd be like, uh-oh. So yeah.
I relate with his character looking for a reason to end it, or well, looking for the catch, like somebody's too good to be true.
That's different, I think, because that's you're there. There's one looking for a problem, and you're like constantly judgmental because you don't accept yourself. You think, how could they possibly accept me? But then there's the other kind where you're like so not desperate, but you're so longing for a connection that when it does actually come to you, if you come from like a childhood of always being abandoned, then it's really hard to believe that this person will stick around. So yeah. Both of those are troubling.
But I think both are just a way of trying to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Somehow.
True. They call that, what is it? Avoidant attachment style.
Oh God. Yes, it's horrible. So I Married an Axe Murderer is obviously meant to be like silly fun and funny. Do you believe that there is some kind of message or moral or deeper meaning to it?
Oh, I think, well, no. I thought your question was about, is there deeper meaning for me? And I think, yes, it appeals to me on a deeper level because of that fear of commitment and wanting to have the relationship his parents had. I was still learning about dating. And so to me, it was like, oh gosh, this is a dilemma. How can he be sure that the marriage will work out? So I was rooting for them. And then at the end, when I'm shocked about the actual crime, then it's like, wow, this was great. And so, yeah, I think, I think it was just supposed to be a good, funny movie that would appeal to people of the time in his age range. Like, I'm sure they were trying to gather a bunch of 20-somethings to watch this film. And they did a good job of making it silly. I don't even know if they tried to make it one that would last through the ages, but I don't see how it couldn't with there's so many funny moments in it.
So it does have deeper meaning for you, even if...
For me, it has deeper meaning of like relationships and dating. And yeah, like it'll always be special to me because of that element, like of wondering, is this what life is like? And now I'm older than everybody in the film. So it's kind of like, wow, yeah, that's what I thought dating would be like. And I never, like you pointed out in this interview, I never really experienced that part of dating. So yeah.
Thank you for listening to Why This Movie. If you have a movie that you love that you'd like to talk about, email me at christopherallenmaloney@gmail.com, and you may be featured on an upcoming show. Please remember to rate and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, and hit the subscribe button so you always know when we have a new episode released.